Canada has been regarded as one of the best countries to immigrate to, topping the charts as an economic powerhouse in the world. In 2022, over 437,180 new residents called Canada home, and this has been the trend since the development of Canada as a country. In fact, the whole history of Canada has been built around the movement of immigrants into the country. However, in 2023, this trend seems to be discontinuing, as data shows that less than 40% of residents are likely to become permanent citizens. This is down by 20% compared to 2016, when over 60% wanted to become permanent residents. This means that people are losing interest in becoming Canadian citizens and are leaving the country, a significant worry for the Canadian government. With over 50% of its citizens above the age of 41, Canada seems to be losing its appeal to retain residents. However, experts believe this is a deliberate plan from the Canadian government to reshuffle its citizens for the future. Why then are people leaving Canada? And what is Canada's plan to lose its residents? To understand why people are leaving Canada, we must understand the basic reason why people immigrate to another country. According to statistics, 80% of the reason people migrate to another country is for better job opportunities and a higher quality of life. Other reasons might include political reasons, overpopulation, and the likes. Canada does a good job attracting immigrants, not just because it's an economic powerhouse, but because it has shown consistently over the past decades that it can bring in new citizens and cater for their needs. And we can see this to be notably true according to the data released by the US News and World Report, which ranked Canada as the best country in the world to start a career in and as the country with the best quality of life. However, while Canada does a good job attracting new residents to the country, they struggle to keep them. What is wrong with Canada? When people come into Canada, they are met with the promise of one thing: a good, better, and higher quality of life. In fact, this promise has been so rooted deep in the image of Canada that once you see the red and white stripes of the country, you think of freedom, you dream of a life where you can have everything you want. However, while this seems to be true to those who live outside the country, the reality is different inside. New residents have had to live with the harsh reality that while they are required to have lots of high-quality degrees and education before they come in, it doesn't translate to them having a well-paying job. According to data released by the Canadian Institute, it was discovered that immigrants who come into the country have a higher level of education and work experience compared to the average Canadian-born citizen. However, when they did research for which type of people occupied the lucrative job position, it was discovered that Canadians with lesser job qualifications and work experience occupied them. Not just that, the Canadian workforce would consider hiring a Canadian with lesser job experience and skill to an immigrant with a higher level of skill. This is a shocking discovery for new residents, as it shows that while they have had to work their arse off to study and gain lots of experience to get here, their skills are not needed by the Canadian marketplace, and so they have to settle for less paying jobs. This is a harsh reality for most people to accept, given the time and effort spent to develop themselves. One major reason this is so, according to research, is that most Canadian companies don't recognize the certificate or skills new residents claim to have. They believe that the level of education gained in their home country does not necessarily translate to the Canadian job market, and now they are required to take new courses or acquire new knowledge in Canada to be recognized in the marketplace. This is a difficult and time-wasting process that shows the government's lack of effort in integrating immigrants into its economy. Another major issue with Canada is its high cost of living. With the average price of things doubling, most people can't afford to enjoy a good quality of life, which is not what they bargained for. The price of an average Canadian home has made new homeowners reconsider their decision, which has led to them renting apartments instead of buying homes. This decision has made the market more stressed, putting heavy weights on real estate developers and the government to provide more rental spaces for people. In 2015 to 2021, for example, the number of Canadian residents increased by 3 million. While this is a good sign of population growth, the number of rental spaces only increased from 670,000 units to 710,000 units within the same time period. This suggests that while the Canadian population is increasing at a strong rate, the rental market isn't keeping up. And with Canada's plan to bring in 2 million more residents in the coming years, this housing crisis might just become worse. To understand why this is so, we have to understand that this whole issue started out of developers refusing to build new houses because of the insane amount it would cost to start new projects. With the price of construction materials soaring through the roof and the government increasing the interest rate, developers are refusing to go through the burden of financing new structures. Even if they would, the rent price must have shot up enough, almost double the current price, to cover the amount erecting new structures would cost. And so, you might be paying close to $3,750 per room before major developers would consider erecting new structures. This would be hard on the average Canadian resident who has already been forced to compromise on its quality of life. It has been forced to choose between having a good meal or renting a nice, decent apartment. An economic woe most can't bear. A shame. So, to put this plainly, the two major factors wrong with Canada which are making its residents leave are its high cost of living and its inability to integrate skilled immigrants into its workforce. Immigrants who suffered and toiled to get enough skills to be attractive in the marketplace, only to be met with disappointment. And citizens who can't afford to live a quality lifestyle because the price of everything in the country has doubled and their average salary isn't enough to cover up the cost of feeding, transportation, and other basic amenities essential to their survival. Is this Canada's plan to lose its residents? Canada, like most countries, is one which has built its economic prosperity on the resourcefulness of its citizens. With the future of the world heading towards science and technology, Canada might just have a plan to make sure its residents are full of only those who can cope in this future emerging market. Meaning, those who make up the Canadian society are those who can effectively contribute to the development and future of science and technology. To the Canadian government, economic prosperity is one thing, but you can't remain a powerful nation if your residents don't contribute meaningfully to society. And with Canada's vision to remain a global force through its STEM program, economic woes facing its citizens might just be a good way to kick out those who can't fully cope and compete for this emerging future for Canada. It has been notably known that the caliber of immigrants Canada brings into its society are those who are exceptionally skilled than the average Canadian citizen. And since they have more skills that are useful to the future of Canada, they can negotiate their way in the Canadian market to receive higher pay and contribute effectively to the Canadian marketplace. Doing this will help them sustain a higher quality of life, which will also pave the future for Canada. And with its plan to bring in 2 million more residents in the coming year, the future of Canada seems to be bright. However, while this seems to be a good plan for Canada to selectively build a new society for its future, its struggles to successfully integrate them into its workforce remains an uphill task it's yet to solve. With most immigrants leaving the country a few years after they come in, Canada might still be far from actualizing this goal of theirs. Studies have shown that over 60% of immigrants who studied in Canada did not have any tax record or certificate 3 to 4 years after they completed their degree, which suggests that they have left the country. And with them leaving, there is no future mind left to help build the future Canada so dreams of. What then is Canada's plans? Canada hopes to fill the labour shortage facing its economy with the skills of immigrants it's bringing in. To successfully integrate them into the marketplace, however, they seem to have their hands tied. Canada believes that the majority of responsibility falls onto the immigrants' hands, as they expect them to associate with citizens to make the process of integration easier. However, we do know that isn't enough for new residents in a country. There must be a framework available that makes the process of integration easier. To solve the housing problem also, the Canadian government recently approved a $14 billion fund to help tackle the issue, but experts believe it's not enough and there's more the government can do. They believe that the government can reduce interest rates, subsidize the cost of bringing construction materials into the country, and create new policies that will change the plan required to build new buildings. I hope you enjoyed this video as we tried our best to make it as entertaining and comprehensive as possible. If you did, hit the subscribe button and give us a like, and we can assure you that we have more thought-provoking videos like this coming your way. Till the next video.